We're back and we're going to continue talking about what happened on the same day that Jesus rose from the dead. We left off with Cleopas and his wife running back to Jerusalem to share the news that they had actually seen Jesus. They had walked with him, they had talked with him, he had sat down with them in their house, and he had prayed and blessed the bread. That's when they realized it was Jesus. But then he had disappeared. They were so filled with excitement as they were telling the disciples, and the disciples were so excited too. They were so happy that someone else had seen him. It must be true. Later that night, the disciples met together in an upper room. The disciples were there as well as some other people who loved Jesus so very, very much. They were excited, but they were also very, very scared. They locked the doors, they closed the windows, and they shut them tight, and they locked them too. They made sure that no one could come in. They were very, very afraid of the Roman government and the Roman soldiers because they knew that they would be blamed for stealing Jesus' body. They were frightened for their own lives. They sat in that upper room and they talked. And maybe they told Mary Magdalene, "Tell me again, what happened when you saw him? What did he say? What did he do?" And they asked Peter and John, "What did the angel say?" And then they talked to Cleopas and his wife, "What did he say? What did he do? Tell us everything. Tell us every detail." As they were talking and spending time in that upper room, doors locked, windows locked, all of a sudden, right there in the middle, Jesus didn't open the doors. He didn't open the windows. He used his power, God's power, and appeared in that room. Oh, the people stood back, but they were scared to death because they thought that it was a ghost. But Jesus said, "Don't be afraid. See, look at my hands and my feet." His hands and his feet had the nail scars in them. And the disciples and the other loved ones that were there saw them and they began to think, well, maybe it's Jesus. And then Jesus said, "May I have something to eat?" And they gave him some fish. And then they knew that he could not be a ghost. They knew because a dead person couldn't eat fish. So there they were in the room with Jesus. And Jesus talked with them and reminded them of the same scriptures and the same lessons that he had talked about with Cleopas and his wife on the Emmaus road. He reminded them of the scriptures, of what Moses had said, what the other prophets had said, what the book of Psalms says about the Messiah, the promised one coming, and how he would have to suffer, how he would have to die, and how he would have to raise again. The disciples were just filled with wonder and with awe and with such great belief. They were so excited that Jesus really was with them. That night, when Jesus appeared to the disciples, there was one disciple that wasn't there with them. We're not sure where he was, but his name was Thomas. So the disciples were telling Thomas the next days after that, telling him all about Jesus coming to them and how they saw his scars and how he ate with them and talked with them. But Thomas didn't believe. He wouldn't believe. He told them, "Unless I can see his scars, and unless I can put my hands on his scars and on his side, I just don't think that I can believe." Isn't that sad? Thomas couldn't believe his friends, his dearly loved friends. He just had such a hard time with his faith and with believing. He couldn't believe what they were telling him. He wanted to see and he wanted to feel for himself. Well, 8 days later, the disciples were once again in that upper room. And once again, locked the doors and they shut those windows and they made sure everything was secured tight because they were not out of danger. I mean, news was spreading about Jesus's body not being in that grave, and they were still frightened for their lives. This time, Thomas was with them in that room, and once again, Jesus appeared right in the middle of them. Once again, he didn't use a door, he didn't use a window, there was no trap door anywhere hidden. Jesus' power and glory gave him the ability to just be in that room with those disciples. And this time, Thomas was there. And he saw. And Jesus said, Thomas, come, put your hand on my scars. Put your hand on my side so that you will believe. But you know what Thomas did? He fell down to his knees. And I think that maybe Thomas was ashamed, maybe, that he hadn't believed, but he was also filled with such wonder that he truly was in the midst of Jesus. Jesus told Thomas, blessed are those who see me and believe, but blessed are those who will not see me and will believe. Boys and girls, that blessing can go for you and for me. Because if we believe in Jesus, we cannot see him with our eyes right now, and we won't be able to see him with our eyes until we spend eternity in heaven with him. But right now, if we believe the words of God, if we believe the Bible, if we believe that Jesus is God's Son, that he came here to earth as a human, and that he died and that he rose again for us. If we believe that without having seen it, we can be blessed. And I want that blessing. How about you?